Welcome to the podcast that does more than just discuss. Embodying Spirit unpacks key metaphysical and psycho-spiritual theories through heartful discussion and playful debate, and then gives you applications and exercises to bring these concepts into your own life. Isabel Almeida, wellbeing coach, and Tārā Love, healing arts facilitator and ceremony guide, have been on the conscious healing train for 40 years between them, studying a range of modalities from yoga and somatic healing to community engagement and philosophy. As best friends, co-creators, dynamic mothers, and dreamers of a better way to live, they have been seeking to live in conscious community for a long time. This is a collection of the conversations around consciousness, connection, and community they've been having for many years. The duo draw on a vast range of theories and schools of thought, claiming the sacred feminine space of relationality between many influences from Hermeticism and Vedic scripture to quantum physics to shamanism and beyond. Also claiming their deeply intuitive inner knowing. They share these deep chats, ideas, and debates openly, bringing new embodied perspectives to ancient wisdom. Each episode begins with a discussion, leading into an immersive exercise and a guided meditation. They share these vital ideas and tools in practical and grounded ways to inspire waves of self-empowered awakening in the world at a time when we need it most. We really hope you enjoy. Hello, beautiful souls. Greetings on this beautiful day, and welcome to episode 7 of Embodying Spirit, the meditation minefield, only now. So, as is inherent in the title, this is the episode we talk about meditation, the increasingly popular modality and now a multi-million-dollar industry. And we just thought that it's something that people kind of now, it's become common parlance. Meditation. People talk about it a lot, but what does it really mean? What's it all about? What are the different kinds of meditation? What are we really working with? And a few of the misconceptions, a few of the problems, a few of the different modalities within meditation, and also the beauty and the wonder that it is. Because at the end of the day, there is nothing else. And I know for me, like starting on my spiritual journey relatively late in life, where there was suddenly so much excitement and like the magic and all of these possibilities and plant medicine and woohoo, and it's like meditation felt like the really boring kind of, it is like the steady, the slow and steady, constant, but actually nothing else can fucking replace thing, right? It is the ultimate practice, right?
Yeah, it's funny because for me, I've been meditating now for probably near on 30 years.
Which is why you're a ninja.
Wow. Still feeling like very much a beginner, because it is just one of those things that, like, in one moment you can feel so connected and have such a mystical experience and, really feel the oneness. And then in another moment you're there and you're batting off the thoughts and still in that sort of, disconnected self. So, it really is a constant practice. It's a definite skill that, repetition is the master of all skill, and meditation is not an overnight success, although you can have overnight success.
But it's really teaching us daily practice, isn't it? And really teaching us patience. And that's why it's so fucking amazing, is that it's about checking in with yourself. Like you said, some days it's like, whoa, and some days it's like, eh. And that's the whole point as well, is that it's giving you that capacity to be able to know where you're at on your day or in your moment, because it can change moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour as well. But just to be like, oh, here's where I'm at. That is one of the amazing benefits of it and superpowers that you gain, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a beautiful gift that you give yourself. And it's funny, like, because of course a lot of people go into meditation, and because there's no, you don't know the outcome of it, as in, or people go in with a desired outcome and don't necessarily achieve that, it can be something that they can feel is useless to them. But actually it's something that even if you don't feel you're going deep into, just sitting in those moments of meditation actually are carried on in your day. You have like an extra space of awareness that just didn't exist there before. And it's not necessarily measurable because, how God aware are you isn't something that you can really measure. It's just the way that you communicate with others, that you can, you become more patient, more compassionate, more kind, all these things that are just natural when you're in a love state, right? That you can tap in.
Ultimately in a world where we are just so rushed or in the perception of busyness. I mean, how often do people say, oh, I'm so busy. Oh, there's so much to do. Oh, where you feel like there's so much noise and there's so much happening and we're bombarded with constant images and messages and things that we should be doing and places we should be going and all of this. Like, it is such a gift, as you say, to give ourselves a moment of not having to do anything but just having to be. We are human beings, not human doings, and it is the ultimate act of being above doing, right?
And isn't that the funny thing, that it's become this multi-dollar thing because people are like, yeah, how can I use this to make me better and more successful in life? So, people will see how great I am. I mean, as in, it's still being used to be better at work and not that it doesn't increase your ability in these situations, but really it's about coming back into your natural state, into your essence, connecting with your heart and illuminating your mind from there so that you can receive rather than so that you can receive
get an outcome.
Naturally.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's the same with the yoga. It's like the yoga industry. It's like, do yoga so that you can have a beautiful beach body for the summer, so you can be stronger, so you can be, it's like, no. It's to be in oneness. And so just to rewind momentarily, that's kind of what we're saying, right? Like, I mean, I always say with mushroom journeys, when people come out of a mushroom journey, I'm like, and 10,000 hours of meditation, you'll reach the same place, like, because the point is that also people think that the mushrooms are what is taking them to this place. And even though it's like a bit of a cheat code on the computer, I like to say, it's like, it's still showing you what is possible. Like, you are working with your higher self. You are reaching a level of connection with spirit, with the divine, with your higher self, interchangeable words often, that you can reach with meditation. And that is the superpower of it as well, is that it's doing it without any kind of outside help, and that's what's so empowering about it, and that's what's so organic about it, and that's why it often, again, the caveat, it can happen overnight, but generally it's why it often takes a lot of time and patience. Not necessarily a lot of hours in a day, but the daily practice of coming back to it, because it is something you're doing on your own.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you talk about shrooms as well. And what does shrooms do? When you take it, it relaxes the body. So you're not in the body consciousness. And the same with meditation. It's in relaxing the body that you're able to really find that connection with your higher self. Speaking about yoga, it's like we think that yoga is for the body, right? We think that these things are for the ego, when really it's through detachment from these ideas that we are really able to connect.
Yeah, I mean, they say that yoga, that all of the physical asanas of yoga are simply to prepare the body to be able to sit in meditation, actually, right?
Exactly.
So if you're not, if you're doing yoga and you're not employing a meditation practice as part of your yoga, then you're not doing yoga, you're doing physical asanas, which is a different thing, actually, which is part of it. It's not the full yoga practice.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just wanted to do a little bit of a summary for those of you that haven't been following every episode to date, in terms of, because I just we just put out there that what's that place you can reach through mushroom journey or through 10,000 hours of meditation, and hopefully maybe less, is that glimpsing of the oneness, right? Like, so to summarize what we've been talking about on all of these episodes, is that this idea that we are all kind of individuated parts of the Great Spirit, and that we've individuated to have this human experience, to know ourself as spirit more, in these individuated, incarnated states. And through this kind of cosmic game of hide and seek, of remembering and forgetting, that we are spirit, we're kind of coming into a greater awakening. We're waking up to remembering that we are spirit, that we are this oneness. And so just to kind of, lay it out clearly, that is what is available to us through meditation. That's what the gift, the beauty of meditation is, being able to glimpse that oneness, to be able to connect momentarily and with practice for longer periods of time with that knowing, with a kind of capital K, with that feeling, again with a capital, like with that state of spirit, with that spirit consciousness, with that God awareness, with that feeling of oneness, to put it in many different ways. There's many ways to say it, and none of them will quite encapsulate, because language is always a slight distortion of truth with a capital T, to really feel that oneness. And as we were talking about in the last episode, it's not necessarily possible to be in a constant state of knowing this, to be in pure God awareness all the time, because that is the deal we made with the devil. That's the cosmic agreement we made in incarnating in these individuated forms, that we also have our ego state, that ego is not a bad thing, that is our individuated, and we have an individual purpose, in being here as well. But it's through the daily practice of meditation that we can keep remembering and keep kind of reconnecting, almost like a touchstone, with that God awareness, with that understanding that we are more than just our individuated states, that we are also God consciousness, that we are also spirit. And having that ability to continually connect with that understanding brings us into a greater feeling of inner peace, brings us into a greater feeling of wholeness, brings us into a greater feeling of relax, like you were saying, and allows us to connect with our inner purpose more. Sorry.
And meditation is about coming into the now. So when we're talking about like coming into our God awareness, it's coming into the here, into the present moment, without this need to fight the future or prepare for the future or deal with the past, all these things that don't really exist in the here and now. They're ideas of the ego, like you say. Yeah, they have the purpose, because otherwise it wouldn't be so. But actually, that's what meditation is. It's allowing us to come into that blissful state of just pure presence, and we're not seeing ourselves as the ideas that we're having, as the thoughts, that we're the observer of these ideas, as opposed to, I have to battle with myself because, I'm having this feeling of thought, emotion, which is often the state of the ego, right? Like trying to better something.
And I guess it's understanding the non-realness of those things as well. It's like that idea that that the past and the future, that the thoughts are not real, that they are what we're creating. They're the beautiful dream that we're spinning. From the I'm rereading the Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four Agreements. It's beautiful Toltec shaman, one of his books, the Toltec Art of Life and Death. And he talks so beautifully about this, that the living space, as in our daily existence, is a dream. And it's a beautiful dream that we create, but we're creating it. But that those thoughts are not real. They're not truth with a capital T. That's the life force that's within us. That the truth is that life force that will never die, that is constant, that is spirit, essentially. But that but the thoughts and the knowledge that we gain through our life, it's not real. And we can create beautiful dreams, and then we can have a beautiful dance of reality, But ultimately, that's not the ultimate truth. That is death that will die. It's transient. It's something that we are here to experience and to play within, but ultimately will leave at the end of our lives.
Yeah, and when we say not real, we mean we don't have to react to it. So it is there, but we're not having to interact with it and change something. We can just observe, and therefore observe something else. Whereas when we're in the ego state, we're seeing ourselves as being void of something. So we're always trying to fill that, and from this state of God consciousness, we are the void. It's like there's nothing that disconnects us from everything that's around. We're no longer the body, and we're no longer only held by this vessel. We're actually, like in meditation, you become the space. It's almost like you lose sight of where the body is and where everything else is. And you can, that's where that bliss state comes from, because there's nothing to contain, there's nothing to look after, there's nothing to make right. There is no right or wrong, there is no good or bad, there just is.
So you're connecting to that kind of, to that huge amount of power, actually, that huge amount of energy that is everything in possibility, right? I mean, that is also spirit, right? Like, because nothing is defined, nothing is separated, nothing is memory, nothing is language, nothing is past, nothing is future. It's all just right here and right now. And that is incredibly empowering, because when you bring yourself back into the present moment and into that connection of the oneness, you're connecting to everything in possibility. And ultimately that is love. Love is the life force, right? And so you understand in that you are love. You are the purity of love.
And it's like plugging into a socket. Like, that's the image that was coming to mind. It's like you're energizing yourself. This is actually bringing, you're creating more energy just by getting out of this thought, feeling, emotion state of being, right? Like, we don't realize just how tiring thinking is.
Tiring is so thinking. I've clearly been doing too much thinking recently. Thinking is so tiring. It is.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
It's
that's the lie, that we think, therefore I am. I mean, that's the whole Descartesian thing. I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. Shit, I better keep thinking. Otherwise I'm going to die. I'm going to drop off the edge of the world into non-existence. But if we can allow ourselves that space, that pause to stop thinking, we realize that I think, therefore I am not, right? I love that. You used that quote earlier, and I just think it's so beautiful. It's like, oh, of course. Once I'm thinking, then I'm stepping outside of the direct experience of spirit. Once I'm in my thoughts, then I'm individuating. Then I'm going into my individual existence. And just to clarify again, and to remember this, like we talked about in the previous episode, like there's also a beauty in that individuated state as well. There's also, we came into it for a reason. There's nothing going wrong. And it's not to also spiritually bypass by staying in a constant state of bliss meditation, right? Like, we are here on a journey, and we're here to have this human experience and to enjoy it. But we can enjoy it so much more when we realize that it is just a game that we're playing, that it is our thoughts creating whatever we want them to create. That's when we can become the master as well, right? Once we can differentiate from it, because once we realize that we're not really, it's not like truth with a capital T, that we are creating it by coming back to that possibility, then we can have fun, right? Then we can really, and we can hold that paradox as well. And that's why it has to be a daily practice, even like multiple times a day. That's why it's so amazing with the Islamic faith, that you pray 5 times a day. That makes sense to me, and the fact that you are reconnecting to your God self in its purest form, 5 times a day, to remind yourself that you are the spirit incarnate 5 times, so that you're constantly like, oh yes, I am. Oh yes, I am spirit, So that allows you to remind yourself then, when you're in the playing of the game, of the creating with your thoughts, creating your reality, playing with ideas of past and future. Oh, but also I'm everything in potential. Oh, I'm also spirit. Oh, I'm also that bliss state.
And the funny thing is, as a child, we're often in that spirit state, like we've just come from spirit, right? And so we're just in the state of being, and we haven't quite come into that consciousness where we're able to reflect on ourselves. And so we're just really just being in that natural state. And then we come into that moment of like the who am I state. Like in teenager, we sort of come into that sense of trying to assert ourselves in something as well. And, there's so much suffering, right, by the overthinking that we do from that state of being out of the awareness, that actually we can relax, that actually everything is just unfolding, that we are actually the observer of this state. We try so hard.
Bless us.
But bless us.
And that's where the compassion comes in as well, right?
Exactly what I was thinking. How, and that's so beautiful, actually, that we said that in synchronicity, because that is exactly it. That is what we have come to know for ourselves through the act of this awareness of coming into meditation and knowing that actually nothing's going wrong, but it's such a,
because I mean, that's the thing.
so
Like we say,
bombarded.
thought is so tiring. Being in thought is so tiring because when we're in thought, we're in that understanding or that idea that it's just us, that we've got to figure everything out, that we've got to make a plan, that we're responsible for what happened, that we could have done something differently, that we've got to do something else in order to get somewhere else that we want to get to, right? And it's so heavy, right? And when we can connect back to that universal consciousness, to that bliss state, to that knowing of everything, of that being in that, then we can relax. And that's, I guess, the paradox of it in a way, because it's like, how do you get there? And that's where the meditation comes from. But at the same time, when you are there, you're able to understand that it's not all you, and that you have the to relax and allow it to find you. And that's what's so difficult, because we think we have to make a plan, but actually when we can fully relax and connect into the universal consciousness and connect into spirit, then answers will spontaneously arise, like solutions to issues. And it's not that you can't go in, that's the problem, you can't go in seeking the solution, right? But when you surrender to the not knowing, the knowing spontaneously arises. And that's the slippery fish of it, right?
And that's the thing, when we're just in this human consciousness, we're believing ourselves to be only the five senses as well. So we tend to be smalled by that as well. But actually going into meditation allows us to connect with this superhuman consciousness, like, with our super, like we gain siddhis. And not that, as you say, not that that's what we're going in for, but because we're becoming so subtle, and siddhis means masters, right? So like, telekinesis or
levitation,
telepathy, levitation, like, these abilities that actually are within all of us. But because we're so busy being solid in our day-to-day life and working everything out and, being in a logical mind, rather than just moving into that higher state of awareness, we were disconnected to that. So, we would call that a lie. No, that, that doesn't happen, because it's not something that happens in this everyday state, right? But actually, as those that are master meditators will tell you, that actually there's, many levels to our consciousness. It's not just what we see. In fact, they're saying, seeing is believing is actually not the truth, right? I think we've spoken about this maybe when we were talking about manifestation, but like believing is seeing. And that's what you find through these practices. And, so even though that's not the reason why we do it, the reason obviously is to just come back to the oneness, but really it allows for you to know yourself in a way that's so beautiful, and to know that you are magic.
And of course, once you start increasing your God awareness, you're going to increase your God power, right? Like, and you are going to be able, because you're calling, because we expend so much energy going out into the thoughts and going into the past and the future. We're kind of displacing our energy into all these other places, right? And the more we come back into the oneness, come back into the moment, we're kind of almost, I see it like a soup, almost like you're concentrating all of the power, right? Like you're bringing all the energy into itself. And from there is amazing possibility. There is all possibility. Anything is possible. That is where magic can happen. And there are countless stories. We don't have time to go into, of these siddhis as they use it I think that comes from the ancient Indian traditions, right? That's from that terminology, but also across all traditions. And there's a possibility.
Yeah, and also the African.
Yeah, exactly. Many possibilities that have been documented. People flying. I mean, like, so many, from coming into that God state. But in order to do that, we have to get rid of the busy mind. And that's why I think it feels so far removed from possibility for so many of us, because we're in such a mind space, right? And really, what is the ultimate part of like, what is the kind of, to take it back to basics, and it is to detach from that endless thought, like the endless, like that idea, like we said, that we think therefore we are, like constant mind games that we're playing with ourselves, constant beliefs that we're telling ourselves, constant ideas that we're filling ourselves with that aren't true. And in order to get anywhere near that state of like real bliss and then even like, you know, superpower, super consciousness, we need to be able to detach from all of that and connect to the oneness, the field of consciousness, the spirit consciousness.
And of course, that's why it can seem so counterproductive when people are sitting there and then instead of being able to let go, they just feel like that they're further going into, you know, their thought patterns and getting caught by that. I mean, it's not an easy task when, you know, when you identify so much with yourself as being your thoughts. It's like, you know,
and that's how school has grown us as well, right? Like that's what the society has grown us to understand, that we are our thoughts. And most of us don't have, we haven't been given that kind of learning in the West anyway, you know, that we're anything other than our thoughts, really, and our bodies. And that inner monologue that we have, that most of us have on a daily, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second basis, is so loud, and it's so informed by our trauma as well, right?
Yeah, I was going to say as well, I mean, I think it's beautiful as well how, because obviously it is spirit, it calls you. Like, you know, even if like, you know, we have been schooled in certain ways, you know, what leads us to sit in meditation or to find this path is because actually spirit is calling us home, you know, and so there is something in us that knows this to be true, that knows that we are more than what we've experienced ourselves to be. So, you know, and I think we can all probably, if we look in ourselves, we can all feel that there's something more than what we felt that we are. Like, I mean, I know I found that that's what led me to meditate.
That's that deep feeling of yearning in within us often, right? Or feeling of like something not quite being right. Like you might ask, like, is this really it? You know, is this all that there is? And the fact that you're asking that means that you know somewhere deep inside that there's not. And even that can feel far removed. You might think, oh, I know that this is all that there is and it's all just shit, for example, you know. But if you take yourself back in your childhood, and you might have to go really far back, that you, like all of us, I think, have some memory at some point of that feeling of magic and wonder in childhood, right? That feeling of like of deep connection, whether that's in nature or whether it's with other people, you know, having like a really magical, like a connection with somebody that seems to be bigger than either of you, you know, or with even with animals, or with like I say, the natural world, or just even within yourself, like a deep feeling of excitement and elated energy, excitement about the world or about something. Like for me, it was that thought that magic exists, you know, like that things can happen that you wouldn't expect to happen, you know, that kind of, you know, that's kind of like, then you're told as a teenager, no, it's not real. That's all rubbish. You've got to go get a job, you know. But as a kid, it was there.
And the big issue I think that we have in our society is that a lot of the foods we ingest and the activities we do, unfortunately, calcify our pineal gland, which means that we're not able to see in the way that we once were. And of course, we can decalcify it, and there's ways of doing that. But because of that, sometimes we've lost connection with that spark, right? Like it's there, but it's not at the forefront. And that's why even practices like sun gazing allow us to open up that pineal gland and therefore be able to see. And then, of course, when we're sitting in meditation, if then we're having, I mean, because everyone has their own experiences, but if we're having colors or lights, you know, then that can already hold us more than if we're sitting there and then it's black, because then that can feel so disconnected as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, I want to take it back even a step further because, you know, I know you're like, no, I'm not a master meditator, but, you know, in my mind, you're a master meditator because you're getting colors and lights and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you're saying if it's just black, I mean, that for me is a gift if it's just black. Before that, you know, it's like very, very busy. It's not black. It's full of shouting voices. It's full of thoughts that are me turning on myself. You know, it's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of, and I wouldn't even necessarily have been aware of those voices until I started to meditate, right? But, and that's why there's also resistance from a lot of people, and people say they can't meditate. It's because when you first sit in meditation, it can be deeply uncomfortable, because what you are faced with is like your trauma track on high volume repeat. You know, like it's like a constant barrage of undesirable feelings. You know, you can have pain in the body, you can and pain in the mind, and that's something that that's really can be really, really difficult to face. And that's why you know, so one of my legends, one of my favorite teachers is Tārā Brach, my namesake, because she takes it right back, and her specialism, I would say, is a kind of compassion-based meditation. Which, if you haven't looked up Tārā Brach, we'll put a link in the show notes. But really, I recommend using her. And I think I was also a bit stubborn initially. I was like, oh, I don't want to do guided meditation. You know, like, I can do it myself. You know, and anyway, how can I meditate if there's someone talking at me? Then I'm in my mind. You know, but it's like having the humility to accept that before I get to the ability to access the oneness or the void, or, you know, let go, and like, or even work with kind of watching my thoughts passing as clouds, or just observing the sensations in my body, or, you know, working with a mantra or a deity, or, you know, finding these other kind of more traditional ways to kind of quote unquote quiet the mind, you know, as if that was something that could just happen really easily, is really bringing it right back to an acknowledgement of all of these thoughts that are coming up, all of these feelings that are coming up, and an allowing of them, and a way to disidentify with them. And that you can't skip steps in that, actually. And that's what she's acknowledging, and that's what she's doing. And I think it's so important, because it's not just like, okay, go away, you know, or the classic, what they call the second arrow in Buddhism. She comes from a Buddhist background, but she's super playful and light and wonderful, just amazing. Love you, Tara. But you know, this idea of the second arrow in Buddhism, which is that which is the judgmental, one of my favorite demons, you know, or shadows, should I say, you know, like, why are you being so mean to yourself? Do you know what I mean? It's like, why do I have those voices? You know,
the impatience.
And it's like, but it's like, yeah, but it's not just impatience, just like, it's the judgment of what's already there, you know? And that's the second arrow. It's like, worse than the fact that your mind is busy is the judgment of the fact that your mind is busy. Right? Like, worse than, you know, it's like, and it can keep going. You can have triple arrows, quadruple arrows, you know. So you're sitting there in meditation, and you're aware that there's all these noises, and then you're judging these noises. You know, that's the second arrow. And it's like, actually just to come into the acceptance of these voices, which again is no mean feat, because they can be really aggressive, because often they're the voices that you received in childhood, and often you didn't have conscious parenting, you know, even, and this doesn't mean that your parents had to be abusive. You know, this has been a huge part of my journey. Like, bless you, Mum, bless you, Gran, you know, who brought me up. But like, it's not that, it's just that that's how they were brought up as well. And that was also their pain speaking through them. It's not like I was beaten and hidden under the stairs. Do you know what I mean? But it's just the why don't you do this better? Or who, you know, stop showing off, or, you know, don't be so silly. Why don't you know that? You know, those kind of voices, right? And then they're the ones that you internalize. And so that's actually what you realize when you start to do meditation is there. Why aren't you better? Why isn't this, you know, what are you doing with it? And it's also very difficult to come back from the past and the future, because you're also often in a fight or flight. Sorry, I know I'm monologuing, but I just like have to share this. But it's like, when you're in that fight or flight state as well of survival, because that's what you've come into from your trauma, then it's very difficult not to be trying to fucking solve problems. Or what am I going to do tomorrow to do this? And how am I going to get this sorted? And how am I going to make sure that the kids have got food? And how am I going to make, you know, or like, and why didn't I do that yesterday? Because then if I'd done that yesterday, then I could, all these, and for someone to say, as we've just been saying, oh, but that's not true. It's like, oh, fuck off. That is my truth right now, you know? And so it's like, how do I forgive myself? How do I forgive myself? And so it becomes like a two-step process, right? Because it's like, you have to first of all come into the ability to gently observe all of that, and to have compassion for yourself in that, right? To be able to accept that's where you're at, to be able to really see yourself in that space, and then to be able to release it, and to be able to find the love that's beneath that. Because when we talk about coming into a bliss state, and we'll go into one of Tārā Brach's meditations. That's going to be one of the meditations we do as part of this, as part of our exercise for this episode, using her RAIN practice, which is recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture, which is just absolutely beautiful. So it's like a really beautifully held process of how you can do that. And I'm going to try and emanate her. And that's that, and that's okay. I mean, and that's important. It's important to start there, actually, I would say, to anybody that's like, I don't like meditation. It's like, give yourself the compassion to know the reason you don't like it is because you don't like what's coming up. And that's because there's a part of you that doesn't like yourself. And that's because you are in trauma experience. And that's okay. And it's something that if you want to really develop in your healing, fuck your spiritual path, but just in your healing and you're coming into wholeness as a person, you need to go through this first, and you need to start to acknowledge what's that soundtrack that's playing. Because if you don't listen to it, then it's still influencing you. Then you're still living by it, and you're still being bullied somehow by the voices inside of you, by the mistruths, but you're eating them every day as truth, and they are poisoning you.
Yeah, and obviously these truths have been implemented. Have been inputted into our subconscious mind, right? So that's why they feel like they're just creating our reality, because they're sitting there hidden. But the great thing is that not only can we access this theta brainwave, which is the ability that allows us to go in and input ideas, new ideas that are more aligned with who we now know ourselves to be or are desiring to be. But actually just every day we're given the chance to do that. In the morning, as we wake up, as we come out of sleep, we go into theta before we go into alpha. And at night as well, we're going into theta before we go into sleep. So with this awareness that actually, I am having this trauma dialogue going on, I have been, once we're able to actually be able to look at that from the outside, then we can start to become really active in our rewiring, right? And that's where meditation, once again, can be just really helpful, because it can allow for us to connect with that state actively. But as I say, there's also like natural points in our day, both in the morning and at night, where we can start to rewire by becoming aware of actually the mistruths that we're telling ourselves and how that's making us feel uncomfortable.
And finding ways to sit in that discomfort, right? Like to allow it to be. And I think that that's also where, it's interesting to think about different kinds of meditation as well, because, and we're going to talk about this a bit more, I think, but like the, active and passive meditation as well. And that ultimately, we talked about, like the ultimate, like all of these different kinds of meditations ultimately are trying to bring us back to this, stepping into the experience of the oneness and of the observer, right? Like the constant that's behind the flux, right? The love that we talk about, this bliss state, the love that we all are. I love the image of like the ocean, not the waves. So when we're in the emotions and the feelings, like we can, we feel like we're a wave, and it's coming into the understanding that we are the whole ocean that contains all the waves, all the peaks and the troughs, right? And go on.
I was going to say, and like obviously when we've had trauma, then we find ourselves in states of incoherence. So actually we're not able to hear our hearts from that state, because we're just on that, active mode of reacting, and, and that's just going sort of full ahead. But when we're coming in these meditative states, we become heart-mind coherent, and suddenly we're illuminating our mind. Like we're able to really connect with our true desires here, and therefore create from that space of true desire as well.
And that's what I was going to say is, I think exactly, and that's why I actually find that like that it's good to start with the compassion-based Tārā Brach, meditation, but then also to work with more active meditations before trying to tackle the more kind of in some ways seems simpler, but actually is harder to master, I think, more passive meditation, and let me just explain what I mean by the difference, So passive meditation to me means to simply connect to the oneness, connecting to that observer, being able to find the stillness, be the ocean, right? The God awareness. And a more active meditation, which is what I use in my daily practice before I go into connecting to the bliss state and the void, is for example, to connect to all the energy centers. An active meditation is to take my attention to each of my chakras and to see the orb of light and ignite that. And I think we might have done this on a previous meditation on one of the other episodes. But to work with color, to even work with guides that I have around that energy center, to work with that part of the body that chakra is related to, and to become aware of the sensations and the feelings, and to kind of energize that part of my body, and the fact that it's like, okay, there's 7 chakras, there's 7 energy centers, I can work with each part, I can come into the awareness, I can work at raising the vibration within that part, or with mantras, like the beautiful mantra that you recently were working with, like I love myself, I trust myself, I honor myself, what was the 4th one? I honor myself, I thank you very much.
Myself.
There we go. I was doing it this morning, but I've forgotten it already. There you go. The reason why repetition is helpful. But, to have these kind of frameworks to help us come into greater coherence, like you say, and a higher vibration before we kind of just open it all to the void, because otherwise those voices and those thoughts can really climb in and make it really difficult and really unpleasant, and it's also being really honest with yourself, again, not being competitive like we always want to be, and also that's why they often say, like, just do a few minutes at a time, like if you can sit for 2 minutes and allow your thoughts to pass without attaching to them, great. Rather do that every day than trying to do 20 minutes every day and then not doing it, because actually you end up caught in your thoughts, which then are hurting you.
And there's also, I like to work with the Anyanya, I think it's called, mudra as well, because that's the one with the thumb and the index finger. And mudra is a seal, an energy seal. And that particular one is called the mudra of knowledge. Okay, so it allows your mind to focus and concentrate. And so for me, because, automatically that's just like so natural to do that as well. And I think that these things also allow us to move beyond, because really what we're doing is moving beyond the idea of ourselves, right? Because even that's the problem we're saying, is we identify so much with ourselves that it's difficult to maybe get past that self. And that's why we're saying, like, you can have these practices. But for some people, it may be a case of actually they find it easy to let go, because, and that may come natural to them. So that's why it's good to practice and find what works for you as well. Because for me, I found that there's something about going into meditation that allows me to just disconnect with the Isabel that I walk around with every day. So, and that wasn't something I had to practice. It's something that just came. So everybody's going to have their own experience, and there isn't a right or wrong way to do this. And as you say, there's nothing to compare yourself to either. There's just a you with pure intention. And intention's also something that, I definitely think that's valuable to work with, because obviously where we put our intention, we create, right? So coming with that idea of and letting go of what that looks like. Because once again, if we're looking to get something out of meditation, we're not meditating, we're grasping. So it's actually the allowing everything to fall away. That's really what you're doing. And it's like, gosh, in some ways, it's the easiest thing to be like, oh, I'm not actually doing anything. I'm not trying to acquire anything. I'm not trying to get anywhere. And I can even, as I say, I can feel how that refreshes me. Right? Like, and it's a different feeling to, I want to be enough. And I know that feeling too. And that is a trauma feeling.
But it's just so funny how, like, that's the paradox or the slippery fish of it, is that, like, we can feel like we're not enough in our meditation. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could want to be more, like, as we're meditating. I want to be good at meditating. Oh my God, I'm not good at it. Like, and it's so funny. And it makes me, as you were talking, sorry, it was also making me think when you saying letting go, and I mean, that is it. It's ultimately surrender, right? It's like, as we surrender the thoughts, as we surrender the individual ego, as we surrender, all the creations and noise around us, that's when we can come into the bliss state. And I wanted to share in that kind of like trying so hard to let go. I mean, it's like, that's a paradox in itself, right? Or like an oxymoron. Like, I'm trying really hard to let go. And it reminds me of this beautiful image that someone shared with me once. Another one of my beautiful teachers, my cranial sacral teacher, Julia Nowitzki, who's amazing. And she was talking about how, like, this image of, when we think about letting go of something, like sometimes it's that kind of sense of like throwing it away, got to get rid of it, letting go, and it's almost like throwing something that's very active, and it's kind of like a bit aggressive as well, like get rid of it, let go, go away, thoughts, go away, and just that idea, like the image of a hand that's holding something tightly, right? Like when you're grasping, you've got something, and to let go isn't to throw it away, but it's simply to release the grip. Right. So letting go again of those thoughts and all of those, that those trauma patterns, it's not about erasing them. It's not about, like throwing them away or rejecting them. It's just about releasing that grip. It's just about, like, I see you. That's why they talk about thoughts passing as clouds, right? It's not about clearing the mind, like rubbing it out. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a rejection and that's separation. That's further separation. It's just about, it all just is. Like, everything just is. That's the surrender. It's like everything is as it is, and I am it all. And there's nothing to do or change or make happen. But then you just surrender into the flow of it all.
What was so beautiful about that image of letting go of the grip was how much easier is it to loosen the grip with your hand, for it to just be relaxed, than it is to grip. Can you see? It's just like so much more energy has gone into, so much more is working to keep that grip than it is to loosen it. And like, that's just the truth as well. Like, that is true meditation. It's like, actually, that's why, the body has to be relaxed. To try and meditate or to come into meditation, when your body is tense, it's almost impossible. And even when people talk about the flow state, which is a meditative state, and people will say, like, when they were like, I know my partner will be like, oh, when he's playing football, and he's like, he sees himself from outside playing because he's just in that flow state. There's no him that's present. There's no ego in that. It's working through him. He's, just in the moment, with the moment. There is no trying or anything. It's actually the most peaceful state to be in. And it's the same when we're channeling, like when we're just speaking from the heart and we're not thinking. There's like, where's the thinking? The thinking's not there. We're not trying. And, actually this idea of, I suppose it's being right. That's what trying is, isn't it? And that's where, like, this, say, there's so much energy, and it's a practice. That's why it's such a great practice, because actually that's what, how much younger and youthful would we be if we stopped trying? Like, everything would just be relaxed and it would just be every day. That's also the thing, is like, meditation is bringing us back to this point that every moment is an all moment. We don't know this moment. This is a moment of wonder, right? That's how we want to be in the now. Like, wow. But we're so rigid, and like, I can just feel my body tensing up in the idea of, like, just rushing ahead, because we feel like we know the moment. That's why, that's the connection to the ego is so strong. We're like, no, and I know this moment. I know. In fact, if you want to learn to meditate, try saying, I don't know. I don't know. Allow that space to come in of, I don't know. I have no expectation.
And how are we going to be open to the possibility of magic and wonder and being surprised, which is the beauty of life, if we fucking know everything?
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking about Joe Dispenza as well in the meditations, and we were saying, like, in that meditation where you're asked to, you go into this super conscious gamma state, and then you're asked to create, and you were saying, like, how can we be in that state creatively, like, and not be in an ego state. And, you know, I suppose it's like, for me, I imagine in that when we're in that pure state of consciousness, it's like, actually, that's when we can really receive that higher awareness. It's creating itself. It's like, oh, we're being like unfolded. That's the imagination of what comes, you know, like, you know, that, you know, even when you're in that state of theta, and that, you know, that we're going to be doing that meditation where we go into theta and we allow ourselves to receive receive answers to questions that we may have, right? Now, you're not trying in that state. Actually, what comes up. There it is. You ask the question, and it's, as you said earlier on, it's like the answer comes before you've even finished asking the question. It's knowing before you, because actually most of what's going on is hidden. It's not here in front of our eyes, and that's why it's knowing. It's actually already there in the ether, and we just, you know, it's just in our constant kind of like in the awareness, but we're not able to grasp it. And so there's something really beautiful about getting out of your own way, right? Like it's kind of what meditation is to me. It's like just getting out of your way. Like,
getting out of your way whilst, and at the same time allowing everything that's there to be. Right? You know, as it was reminding me also of this beautiful image someone talked about in meditation when all these things are coming as well. It was like being a really good party host. You know, like it's just, instead of being like, no, you're not allowed in the party. You know, it's like if your existence is this party, right, that you're hosting, you're not going to be at the door like, no, you must leave. You're not allowed to be here. No. It's just like, oh, of course, please come in. You're very welcome. You can leave at any time, but please be here. You know, in that kind of relaxed state as well. And from that state of relaxation, like you say, and you allow yourself to not know, and you allow yourself to come into possibility. You allow yourself to transcend all that you know that is. And I love that. That's exactly like the thing of allow yourself to not know. That's also what Don Miguel Ruiz talks about as well. You know, like allow yourself to not believe your thoughts, to say, I don't know, you know, that it's not true. Nothing that I say is true. Nothing that you say is true. Nothing, you know, there's only life. There's only love. There's only possibility. And from that's when you can access those amazing realms, which is why, with the Joe Dispenza, it's interesting that, like, even allow yourself to not know what it is that you want to manifest, you know, because once you go into that bliss state of possibility, you can trust that Spirit's going to guide you to what it is that you need. And it just comes from, and I think that's what he's doing as well in many ways, is allowing you to connect to those feelings and those elated emotions that you can access through the idea of something that you desire. If you can put yourself into that space, it's the same space, right? That space of like, of bliss, of like, how would it feel if you had everything that you think you want, right? Like, and to allow yourself in that space of fulfillment, of abundance, of bliss. Like from there, once you're there, time doesn't exist. There you are. In that experience, in that heightened vibration, because of the law of attraction, because like attracts like, because as above, so below, as within, so without. If you allow yourself to be in that space of abundance and beauty and wonder, you're vibrating at that level, then you are going to, as within, so without, bring that to you. And you don't need to know what it looks like. Because if you're in the vibration of what does it look like, what must it be, why must make them, you know, then that's what you're going to bring to you. Worry and control and tightness, right? So it's allowing yourself to just surrender to that,
and from that place you can have you will have those mystical experiences as well, where then you can actually have like, it's like where did that come from, you know? And I mean, I remember in meditation having like seeing the macabre and going into that higher dimensions and being like, wow, like, you know, it's like here, and it's not something that you can grasp, but it's quite amazing to be like, I never even knew this Kundalini energy was there to raise up. And it's like, and it's not anything that you had to do. It's just literally, it was something that was able, as you let go and as your centers open, able to connect with. Now, there's not a me that could have known that that was something that I was going to experience or desire to experience, but what I received in that moment has stayed with me forever. Like, you know, and I'd be lying if I didn't say like like in my meditation that there was a me that doesn't want to experience that again, right? Like, because obviously it was such a beautiful experience. But there's also me that understands that actually, like, it's like, yeah, it wasn't me. I wasn't there. That's the whole point. I wasn't there. And in fact, the minute that you think that it's you,
and the minute you try and grasp
gone.
for it, the minute you try and recreate, like, oh, what was I doing? What was the position exactly I was in? How do I, it's like I.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not I.
Yeah, exactly. There is no I there. It's like, there is no I. And I mean, and really, I mean, I know that there's this push now within like certain, I think maybe in India and certain other countries, there's a push to have more and more children meditating. And I've also had my children, I've also taught them how to meditate from young as well, because actually it just allows for people to have so much more awareness of other and to become so much more receiving of themselves and other. And, and I do feel that it's impacted the consciousness of my children in a way that, I personally couldn't have done for them. Like, I mean, I can teach them, I can direct them, I can guide them, but actually when they've had that experience of inner love, inner peace, then they can know themselves in a way that actually we're not going to know by hearing. I mean, I can tell you, I love you, Tārā, but that's not the same as I am love. Like, it's not,
it's awakeness, right? I like this. I like the use of the terms like being awake and being asleep, right? It's like we are, it's being awake, and being awake means being connected to everything and being aware, right? It's just an increase of awareness. And the more that we meditate, the more we have a meditation practice, the more awake we can be. Because when we're asleep, then we're running on this old software. We're running on these thoughts which are sticking us in the past and the present, the past and the future, that are regurgitated beliefs that we've inherited or that we've created that are hurting us. And then often we are, there's this noise that we're not even aware of, like a white noise in the background of all of these kind of dissonant, ideas and beliefs and things that are hurting, kind of like the noise of people shouting almost. Do you know what I mean? And then what we end up doing is finding numbing habits to drown out that noise, right? The voices in the head. We all have voices in our head, actually. We talk about it as if it's something that's mad, but actually they're all there. And then we end up, be it smoking, drinking, taking harder drugs or whatever, or going to the gym all the time, having lots of sex, working so hard. Do you know what I mean? Anything to take us out of the noise, to numb, right?
Or to connect us with that bliss in a way, the only way we know how, right?
Orgasm.
Like, I'll have like take drugs or whatever, like, because actually you do feel bliss in that moment, but of course it's fleeting, and as much as you come up is as much as you go down. Whereas meditation, you don't have that down. It doesn't bring you up to drop you down. Actually, it's something that stays with you, and that, it's like a light that shines beyond you. And as I say, as we have said many times, it's a daily practice. I mean, of course, once we are aware of true meditation, we can walk with that, actually, in commune with people when we're talking.
That's the true mastery, right? When everything becomes meditation. Right, like when you can hold that knowing, you can hold the knowing of the bliss state, and that's when life becomes a game, like we were saying earlier. When you can really embrace that game of like, this is my playground, because it's all possible, and I can, exactly like you say, like walking must become a meditation, dancing becomes a meditation, doing the dishes becomes a meditation. That's what they say, right? Before enlightenment, carrying water, chopping wood. After enlightenment, carrying water, chopping wood. And the difference is what in one you are unaware, and in the other you are aware. And you're aware of the fact that you are spirit having a human experience, and that you are able to keep connecting into that understanding. And whilst not trying to escape it through just being in a bliss state without having any connection to anyone else or anything, right? Because you get to then enjoy those human experiences and the range of all those emotions and the beautiful nature that we're in and all of these things, because you realize that that's not really real. and therefore you can in a non-attached state really enjoy it.
And like you said, the thing is even before people, you may never have heard of meditation. You may not even be on a God awareness, but you are God awareness, and you are meditating when you're like, in that dance, and you're just enjoying, and you're just there, and you're not thinking, and you're just, that is a meditation. You have already accessed that level of meditation, of bliss. It's just that you haven't identified with it as a state that is you. You've identified it as a state that is in action, right? And the difference is in meditating in stillness is that you understand that without any action, you are that bliss,
And so much of it is just dropping out of the mind, right?
Of course.
In this world that we're in now, where we're addicted to thoughts and we're addicted to the mind, and we put the mind on a pedestal, right? It's just about coming back into the heart. And so it's just to ask us, I just kind of put that invitation out to everybody, is just to see if, you can even set a little reminder on your phone or put some little notes around the house, but just to have something that brings you back into the heart, to breathe into your heart as often as you can during the day. And to be honest about it, maybe it hurts, maybe it's sore, right? But that's the first step to the healing and to the connecting, is to allow yourself to breathe into the heart, to feel what's coming up, to acknowledge it, to give yourself the space to be there.
And I also had this thought, because sometimes we're like, people are out there and they may have had trauma, and they may have had a lot of pain, and and they may be, but my point is they may be in that story, right? But actually, sometimes as well, it's the biggest gift, because actually it's through, I was obviously speaking for myself here, but through the trauma that I had in those initial years, and through the disconnection and incoherence, it's what made me on this journey. It's what brought me on this journey to be like, actually, what is more than what I, what is there that is more than this. And it brought me into this bliss. So there is not a me that would get rid of anything, because that's what, otherwise I wouldn't have had this awakening. So, please, even if you're that person out here and you're in pain, know that doesn't mean that you're further away from this bliss. Actually, it doesn't stop you from connecting. It doesn't mean, it just means that this is your path to connecting.
Because also as high as you go, as low as you go. So you can't really, actually have, that again is part of one of the paradoxes. Exactly. You can't have this bliss experience without having had pain. And we've all had pain. And we all have the capacity for bliss. And I also know, from my personal experience, that I've certainly had that thought of like, maybe I'm just broken. They don't know, but actually maybe I just don't have that bliss within me. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe I'm just rotten to the core. And that's a very normal feeling and experience to have when you're so disconnected from yourself and in trauma, right? But just know that there's no exemptions here. Like we all have it, and it doesn't make you wrong or bad if you feel very, very far removed from that bliss. It's just a deeper motivation and invitation to do the work, particularly if you're feeling like that. Go to the Tārā Brach, come into that compassionate awareness, be kind to yourself and give yourself the opportunity, and know that there is a possibility of experience out there that is just so much more expansive and so much more nurturing and so much more loving than your daily physical experience that you're having. And that is the gift of meditation. And we just want everyone to be able to have that experience, and be kind to yourselves in the discovery of it, because like everything, it takes practice and takes patience, and generally all the most beautiful things in life are never going to be instantly gratifying, right? Like they all take a little bit of time and skill, and it's something that we've been denied a lot in the West. And gift yourself something today and meditate. And stay tuned for our 2 meditations this time. One of our exercises is also meditation, so it's a double meditation whammy for today's episode, and we really hope that you enjoy it. And that was the other thing, sorry, so many things to say, but that there are so many different kinds out there. Don't also get yourself trapped, another one of my favorite little ego things, in like, oh, which meditation am I going to go to do today? This one or this one or this one or this one? Oh, look, 10 minutes of meditation's passed, bye. No, make a decision, stick to it for a few days, weeks. If it works, keep it going. But also know there's many options. So if you're trying something and it's really not working, try something else, but then also stick to it for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And we hope you enjoy the meditations. Sending you all so much love.
Thank you. Love you loads. See you on the meditation. Well, not see you, but be with you on the meditations. Bye.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the meditation section of today's podcast. I'm going to take today's practice from one of my favorite meditation practitioners, Tārā Brach, and there'll be links to her work in the show notes. I found this meditation practice deeply helpful when I was facing a lot of pain and difficult feelings in my own life. And for a lot of people, as I think we've spoken about a bit in this episode, meditation can be a really painful thing because it brings us into direct experience of the pain within. And there can be a lot of deep feelings. And Tārā Brach's rain practice is a really compassionate way of coming to a certain peace with what is within. So, as always, finding yourself in a comfortable position. If you need to stop the recording to find yourself somewhere comfortable, either on the floor or on a chair, with a relaxed but straight spine, and coming in to yourself. Allowing the eyes to soften, allowing the muscles of the face and the hands to relax, allowing the breath to come into a softening belly. Allowing the breath to elongate slightly with every inhalation, without force, without pressure, and allowing every exhalation to be a little bit fuller and a little bit deeper with every breath. And gently allowing your attention to turn inward. Letting yourself feel supported by the ground beneath you. And with every breath, coming into a deeper awareness of what it is that you feel within yourself. The first step of the rain meditation, the R of rain, stands for recognize. So just allowing yourself to take a moment to recognize what is arising within you. As you allow the muscles of your face to relax a little bit more, as you allow the muscles of your seat to spread a little bit wider on the floor, on the chair, as you allow your breath to become a little bit deeper, allowing yourself to be with what is. Maybe there's a sense of restlessness within you. Maybe there's a sense of sadness within you. Maybe there's a sense of judgment of somebody that is coming up from your day. Maybe there's a predominant emotion from something that's happened that you can't let go of. And simply allowing yourself to recognize what it is. And it can help to just name it, either out loud or silently to yourself. Tightness. Tightness or judgment. Anxiety. Restlessness. Maybe you need to try a few different words before you hit on what really it is there. It can help to feel into where in the body you're feeling it. Tightness in my chest. Tension in my hands. And it may take you some time to recognize what is there. Giving yourself space. And if you find yourself drifting off into stories and ideas, then coming back to the breath. Coming back to the sensations in the body. Just naming. Just observing. Just recognizing what is here and now. And once we've recognized what is happening in the moment, what feelings and sensations are arising, we can move into the second step of RAIN, which is the A of allowance. And as we feel into what is there under the skin, in our emotional landscape, in our feeling body, we can simply allow it to be just there. So often in our days we have feelings that we decide we dislike, that we see as unpleasant, and so we avoid, we avert. So I invite you into the practice of just allowing these feelings, these emotions to be, to give them space, to be in their expression. And in doing so, they may amplify, they may shift, but I invite you not to ask them to shift or force them to, and simply to let them be in their expression, to allow them to be heard and expressed. As you do that, you can allow the breath to bring light to them, to bring spaciousness to it. It may help to bring some words, either out loud or just to yourself, of allowing, or just this. Here is this, and this, and this. As we allow ourselves to just stay present with the feelings and the emotions that are here within us, giving them our attention, allowing them to be, brings them into a different vibration. Simply giving them presence. We may find in this state of allowing that we experience judgment of what is coming up. And in that, I invite you simply to let it be and to allow the judgment to also be there. to allow the judgment itself to be part of the process of recognizing and allowing, and to continue to come back to just this and this. From this space, we move into the third part of the rain meditation, the I, which is for investigate. So from this space of open-hearted recognition and allowance of what is, we can gently and lovingly begin to explore it a little more deeply. We can begin to ask ourselves where this feeling, this thought, this emotion may have originated from. We can begin to ask ourselves, is it really true? We can begin to ask ourselves, what are the beliefs that I'm holding for this to be true? Where may they have come from? Are they universal truths, or are they truths that I have learnt or been taught? We can take a deeper exploration of where in the body they are sitting. We can allow that investigation to peel back deeper, an understanding of where in the body the root of it may be. And as we investigate further, we can continue to observe and recognize any shifts or changes without pushing or wanting, without clinging or aversion, simply being curious. Curious as to where this came from, why this is here, and asking what it might need. What is this feeling, this emotion, this experience asking of me? What is it communicating to me here and now? Recognizing if judgments come up with this investigation, coming back to the breath, coming back to a sense of spaciousness, allowing the muscles to relax, allowing a slight smile to come to the edges of the mouth and the sides of the eyes, as we gently explore what this is for us and why it's coming to our attention. And after this gentle investigation in a non-judgmental and loving way, we come to the fourth, and I would say maybe the most important part of this meditation, the N of rain, which is for nurture. And with this sense of openness and playful investigation, we allow ourselves to breathe deeply into our heart and to find that part of us that is loving, to find either a beautiful color of love, a felt feeling of love in our hearts, the feeling we might give to our own child, to a loved one in pain, maybe the sense of deep beauty and compassion we feel for a deity, maybe that feeling that we feel when we're being embraced by a loved one. And we find that feeling in our heart and we breathe deep into it. And we allow it to radiate out from our heart into the rest of our body and our being. And I like to see this almost as rain itself. Beautiful, warm, nurturing, cleansing waters of love, washing out from our heart in a beautiful light pink glow or whatever color works for you. Maybe it's a deep green, maybe it's golden light coming from our heart space out in waves of love, washing over our body, washing through these feelings and these senses of difficult emotions as we continue to allow what is there to be without judgment, without trying to rid ourselves of it, but with a deep sense of compassion and love for all that we are and all that is right here and right now. It may help to find a word again to speak to yourself, inside or out loud. Maybe simply just love. Love, love, love. Maybe there's something specific that's coming up that is needed. Maybe it's forgiveness. And if you struggle to forgive yourself, imagine the deity or the mother or the father within raining that forgiveness upon you. Maybe it's relax. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's simply the sense of a big, warm hug. Maybe you can actually hug yourself as you send yourself loving kindness. And just taking a moment to allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. Taking a moment to bring your awareness to any shifts within you, any changes in the sensations within your body, within your emotional landscape, within your heart. Taking a moment to thank yourself for this practice of rain. And just allowing yourself to slowly come back into the room. To notice what you can smell, what you can taste. The feeling of your clothes on your skin, the ground beneath you. What you can hear beyond my voice, and letting the eyes flutter open gently, what you can see. You may want to take a moment to journal anything that came up, and continue this practice of loving kindness as you continue with your day. Sending you lots and lots of love. I assure you this practice gets easier and deeper with every session. I hope it's something that you can add to your toolbox and continue to use going forward, either with me or with Tārā Brach. Lots of love. Bye.
Greetings, everyone. In today's embodied part of our podcast, I'll be leading you through a guided meditation into theta state, where you'll be invited to ask your higher self any questions that you'd like more guidance on. Okay, Please ensure that you're in a safe, quiet, and comfortable place where you know you'll be free from distraction for at least the next 15 minutes. And when you're ready, we'll begin. Okay, let's start by either sitting or lying down. The priority is comfort over all else. So as long as you're comfortable, then that will work for us. So when you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes gently. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale fully through the mouth. Inhaling relaxation and exhaling all negativity. And once again, and finally inhaling relaxation and exhaling all negativity. Okay, now let's center our attention on the heart. I invite you to visualize a radiant ball of light at the center of your heart. This ball represents you. Feel its warmth and gentle glow, representing the essence of your inner self. Allow the ball of light to expand, moving down through the center of your body. With each breath, feel it picking up and absorbing the consciousness of every cell, every muscle and every organ. Feel yourself becoming more and more relaxed. Let the ball of light that is you continue its journey, flowing down through your legs and out through the soles of your feet. Feel a connection to the earth as it passes through and continues journeying downwards. Imagine the ball of light descending through the earth, absorbing the grounding energy and wisdom it offers. Picture it moving effortlessly through layers of rock, of soil, of crystal. Visualize the ball of light continuing downwards, hundreds of feet below the surface of the earth, until suddenly it reaches a vast, magnificent crystal. Feel the exchange of energy between your ball of light and the crystal, as if you are tapping into the ancient wisdom stored within. Then I want you to imagine you are holding an infinite rope. Tie one end around the ball of light, which is you, and the other end around the huge crystal that you found at the end of the earth. Now that you are tied to the infinite rope, you are ready for the upward journey. We will now start ascending back from where we came from. Now let the ball of light travel back hundreds of feet upwards towards earth, passing once again through and entering the earth's surface, carrying the essence of the crystal and the grounded energy within it. Feel the ascent through the layers until it reaches your feet. Rising through the body, allow the ball of light to move back up through your legs, traveling through each chakra, harmonizing and balancing your energy centers as it ascends. As it sends up, sends through your heart center, and then reaching the crown of your head, feel a gentle pop as it moves beyond your physical body, entering a realm beyond. Imagine yourself, the ball of light, traveling through the skies, passing clouds and moving beyond the atmosphere. Observe the beauty of the cosmos as it ventures past the moon, stars and planets. Continue your journey hundreds of feet upwards until you reach a magnificent blue ball of light, suspended in the vastness of the universe. You are now in theta. This is your connection to higher wisdom, to spirit, to your higher self. Here you may ask anything. In this space of radiant blue light, you have the opportunity to ask questions. What guidance or insight are you seeking? Allow the answers to come naturally. Trust in the wisdom within. Remember, here you are free to ask anything you so desire. No question too big or too small. I will now remain silent for the next few minutes while you connect deeper with yourself. Welcome back. Hopefully you received the answers you were seeking. Otherwise, simply relax and allow some space, and they will come to you in time. So when you're ready, we will start our return journey. Feel yourself moving back through the cosmos as we leave the bright blue ball, past the planets, through the sky, and back towards Earth. As you approach Earth, gently descend back through the crown of your head. Feel the ball of light moving down through each chakra, bringing with it the wisdom and insights you've gained. The ball of light flows through your feet, down, sense it flowing out through the soles of your feet, connecting once again with the earth. And then release the rope from around you. Allow the ball of light to send back up to your heart and reunite with you at its center. And now take a moment to reconnect with the present. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. Wiggle your fingers and your toes and gradually bringing back awareness to your physical body. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and come back into the space. And carry the wisdom and relaxation from your journey into the rest of your day. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you here today. I look forward to connecting with you again very soon, sending you endless love now and always. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Embodying Spirit with Tārā Love and Isabel Almeida. This podcast is brought to you by Rewire Desire and the Conscious Connection community. Please see the links to our social media and websites in the show notes to connect more and access our other offerings. This podcast is brought to you free of charge to spread the love and light we all so deeply need in these times of transition. If you feel abundant, safe, and in a space to be able to give from, we would deeply appreciate your support to sustain this gift. Please follow the link below to make a donation. If you would like to connect deeper and would consider becoming a more active partner, then please reach out to us. We look forward to you tuning in again with us soon. Love always, Tārā and Isabel.